All right, friends, let's do worship.
Good morning. Welcome to this worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, and I'm the minister of this congregation. We are so glad that you've joined us today. Our opening words this morning come to us from Rainer Maria Rilke, and it's entitled, I Believe in All That Has Never Yet Been Spoken.
I believe in all that has never yet been spoken. I want to free what waits within me, so that what no one has dared to wish for may for once spring clear without my contriving. If this is arrogant, God forgive me, but this is what I need to say. May what I do flow from me like a river, no forcing and no holding back, the way it is with children. Then in these swelling and ebbing currents, these deepening tides moving out and returning, I will sing you as no one ever has, streaming through widening channels into the open sea.
Join me as we light our chalice this morning. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, and celebration of the life we share together.
We're still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. It's been said that Unitarian Universalism is the religion that puts its faith in you, trusting each individual to engage in the spiritual journey and to reach our own conclusions about spiritual matters. We do that in beloved community as we support one another in faith and in friendship. In that spirit, this congregation has created a covenant, a sacred promise of how we will strive to be with one another. Please join me in speaking our covenant, the words which may be found in your emailed order of service. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world.
Good morning, friends. It's truly a joy to be able to bring you a rhyme-timey story that many are kin to. Graduations are coming, and it's good to remember that learning goes on, and there's always to get there. This way that we're being might not be what we're used to, but try as we must, we'll come up with a new view. We'll learn how to be in new ways and old, and remember some stories should always be told. With energized hearts and minds opened and loose, listen to one of my favorites by Dr. Ted Seuss. Oh, the places you'll go. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're on your way. You have brains in your head and feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the guy who'll decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street, and you may not find any you want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go. You'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You'll get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then that you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. You will come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly they're dark. A place you could sprain both your elbow and chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right? Or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite? Or go back around and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker-upper to make up his mind. You can get so confused that you'll start into race down long wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, toward a most useless place, the waiting place. For people just waiting. Waiting for a train to go or a bus to come, or a plane to go or the mail to come, or the rain to go or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for a yes or a no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting. Waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. No, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying. You'll find the bright places where boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky. Ready because you're that kind of guy. Oh, the places you go. There is fun to be done. There are points to be scored. There are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame. You'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you win on TV. Except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too. Games you can't win, because you'll play against you. All alone. Whether you like it or not, alone will be something you'll be quite a lot. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. But on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. On you will go, though the hack and cracks howl. Onward, up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. On and on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far, and face up to your problems wherever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact. And remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot with your left. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. So, Be your name Buxbaum or Bixby or Bray or Modisha, Alley, Van Allen, O'Shea, you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Be your name Chelsea, Christina, or Tate. Good luck with your studies. We know you'll be great. Young adult Katie and Reverend Michelle, daughters Madison and Monica, we know you'll do well. So I'd like to say Godspeed to all who are finishing what they began way before this physical distancing. Ceremonies all canceled. We feel badly for you, but degrees will be earned during this time in the GU. The places we go to are not disappearing. We're just waiting for safety. Do you see the storm clearing? To all of our friends who are staying at home to work, study, and rest, I wish you well in this waiting place. Remember that we are part of the blossoms blossoming, the leaves unfurling, the worms wriggling, the birds singing, the snow falling, the wind blowing, and the sun shining. Thank you for sharing this sacred time with us, even as we continue to be physically apart.
Thank you, Angela, and congratulations, graduates. If we were gathered together in our beloved chapel, this would be the moment when the ushers would come forward and pass the offering baskets around. We can do that virtually. Simply go to our website, uuamherst.org, and follow the giving link.
Voices murmuring sacred stone, old kind communion, gather in the longing souls, step by step, following the ancient ways of walking holy. We are the rain, we are the walk, we are the hand been given us. We are the moon drinking the dark, pulling the tides that live within us. Oh, river of the morning, free the lingering night, shower these waking souls with love to the center of the circle. Great reunion, honoring the power of the wheel, age by age, following the ancient ways of walking in beauty. We are the moon, we are the walk, we are the hand been given us. We are drinking the dark, pulling the tides that live within us. And may I be complete within my open circle. May I be willing to see some hope in a broken world. May I be like this tree, standing in the center of my circle. I am solid on the ground, and I know I'm not alone. Old red roses growing in the lowland grove, moving voices murmuring sacred stone, old kind communion, gather in the longing souls, step by step, following the ancient ways of walking holy. We are the rain, we are the walk, we are the hand been given us. We are the moon drinking the dark, pulling the tides that live within us.
Each week we offer an offertory response. We pick fruit from trees we did not plant. We drink water from wells we did not dig. This is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who will come after us.
Opening reading is The Way. It is number 670 in your gray hymnal, and the author is Edwin Muir. You're welcome to join in with me in the italicized words if you have a hymnal at home. Friend, I have lost the way. The way leads on. Is there another way? The way is one. I must retrace the track. It's lost and gone. Back! I must travel back. None goes there. None. Then I'll make here my place. The road runs on. Stand still and set my face. The road leaps on. Stay here forever. Stay. None stays here. None. I cannot find the way. The way leads on. Oh, the places I have passed. That journey's done. And what will come at last? The way leads on. I remember an old country song that was popular in the 80s or 90s. It was sung by the country group Alabama, and it was written by Roger Murrah and Andy Van Warmer. And part of it went like this. I'm in a hurry to get things done. I just rush and rush until life's no fun. All I really gotta do is live and die, but I'm in a hurry and don't know why. That song always stood out for me from all the other country songs that my father used to listen to on his car radio, against the usual backdrop of corn pone sentimentality and achy breaky love songs. And please forgive me if you're a country fan, but that's my personal take on things. This song seemed pretty profound, even existential in comparison. I wouldn't have said it then, but after my fancy seminary education, I can see that this song expresses a Taoist perspective. Now, you may be familiar with Taoism, also known as simply the Tao, or in English, the Way. It's a philosophy that was devised and set down in writing by the ancient Chinese scholar Lao Tzu. And out of all the famous quotes that are attributed to Lao Tzu, my favorite one is this: nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Maybe it's because of that quote and some others like it that many people consider Lao Tzu to be in the religious naturalism school of thought. And since I'm a religious naturalist, that works out really well for me, because I love Taoism. Now, are you sensing a theme here? A theme about hurrying? A theme about time? Maybe you've seen the yin and the yang symbol. I made one today so you could see it. So this is the yin and yang symbol. It's two interlocking paisley shapes that make up a full circle, and then there are little dots of each different color within the paisley shapes too. This is a Taoist symbol, and today we might even call it a meme, a popular meme of the time. In Taoism, yin and yang are complementary states of being, and yang is described as a more forceful, dominant aspect of being, and yin is more responsive and yielding and adaptive. The tension between these two aspects of being can be summed up in another musical phrase popularized by that great Taoist Frank Sinatra and a host of other singers. Doopy, doobie, doobie. Yes, there's a tension between doing and being in our lives. Yet for the Taoist, neither one of those states are right or wrong. The key is the balance between the two. Behind this seeming duality, there's an essential unity in which these aspects balance and life becomes easeful and unrushed and even beautiful. Now, what does this have to do with us? Well, I'm in a hurry and don't know why pretty accurately describes the mental state of Americans in our pre-pandemic world. Many of us have lived out our entire lives in a permanent yang state, rushing around, trying to dominate our environments and make things happen. Then, when this pandemic hit us, we suddenly found ourselves with a whole lot less to do. Some folks adapted to that just fine. For others, like me, it's been a difficult transition. But either way, we were plunged into yin, a more passive place of waiting, watching, responding, and adapting. Now, in our American culture, being is considered less important and valuable than doing. The principle of yin is devalued to the point that it's almost not recognized. Those who are not productive are considered less than in our society. Doing nothing is almost a sin in our culture. No wonder we're struggling right now. Maybe though, like the person in that country song, we can ask ourselves, what's so important that it's worth spending our vital life force on it? We can remember, like the singer of that song, that we only really have two tasks: to live and how can we live well during this time of waiting and responding, this unchosen state of ours? How can we live well in this time of yin? Well, there's another principle in Taoism, and that is known as Wu Wei, translated as effortless action. In the West, we might refer to it as flow. This is the place where yin and yang, where yin, our basic laziness or desire to relax and just be, and yang, our need to dominate and struggle, where these two aspects of being balance. This is the place where our actions become filled with ease, where we are able to accomplish what is needed without a lot of running and striving. Lao Tzu uses the image of water flowing effortlessly, always reaching its true destination without struggle and without tension. I have found the concept of Wu Wei helpful as I've tried to find the balance for how to live now. One of my mantras lately has been, don't make things happen, let things happen. Or maybe even better, help things happen, midwife them into existence, work with the forces that exist. Reverend Tina Simpson, a facilitator of Wellspring, says that we can ask ourselves, what do I need to do today? But it's just as important to ask, what do I need today? This small shift in our planning and framing for each day can help with that inner balance or that wu wei or that flow that we're after. With a little bit of applied mindfulness, I'm learning to stop that constant rush and rush until life's no fun. I'm learning that the space between the notes of being born and dying does not always need to be filled up with a lot of needless, meaningless activity. Sometimes it can just be.
Thank you, Kristina. I have a reading I'd like to share with you. It's from the Buddhist Pema Chodron. She writes, "It all comes through learning to pause for a moment, learning not to just impulsively do the same thing again and again. It's a transformative experience to simply pause instead of immediately filling up the space. By waiting, we begin to connect with fundamental restlessness as well as fundamental spaciousness. The result is that we cease to cause harm. We begin to know ourselves thoroughly and to respect ourselves." I have, like many of you, several superpowers. And waiting is not one of them. I have never been able to do my winter holiday shopping in the summer or the fall like some people do. I've tried. I just can't wait to give the gifts. It's not fun for me to imagine the delighted faces on solstice evening. I want to see those delighted, happy faces now. So of course, I go way over my gift-giving budget because I still want to see happy faces at solstice. Waiting is hard. Waiting is also a full-on activity. I've never been one of those people who can do something constructive while waiting, because I'm waiting. But ministry has taught me the value of waiting. The phenomenon known as the speed of church has been verified and documented. Everything seems to take longer at church. That's partly because we are a democratic covenantal community, so decisions are not handed down, they're made together. And that takes time. We also try to take into consideration how a decision or action will impact others, and that is a good reason to slow down. Waiting can be useful. Learning how to wait well is a spiritual practice, and engaging in spiritual practices teaches us how to wait well. St. Augustine said, "The reward of patience is patience." Not my favorite quotation, but I am learning to appreciate it. The readings from Ralph Blum's The Book of Runes that make up much of my spiritual practice remind me to wait. I'll share just a couple of thoughts with you. There is no way to push the river. Equally, you cannot hasten the harvest. When you find yourself at the gateway, pause and review the past, the learning and the joys, the victories and the sorrows, everything it took to bring you here. Observe it all, bless it all, and release it all. You see, pausing and waiting creates the space to understand our lives. The Buddhist teacher and nun, Pema Chodron, writes, "It all comes through learning to pause for a moment, learning not to just impulsively do the same thing again and again. It's a transformative experience to simply pause instead of immediately filling up the space. By waiting, we begin to connect with fundamental restlessness as well as fundamental spaciousness. The result is that we cease to cause harm. We begin to know ourselves thoroughly and to respect ourselves. For the first time in living memory, circumstances have made it necessary to push the global pause button. Many of our societies and systems are yang, urging us to do more, be productive, keep moving. And now we find ourselves in more of a yin space, with opportunities to slow down and be more open to the receptive side of our nature. We are now living the in-betweenness of restlessness and spaciousness. This might be new territory and uncomfortable. Rather than stifling the discomfort with increased activity, we have the opportunity to lean into the spaciousness and ask questions. What is causing my anxiety? What do I really need in this moment? When I feel anxious, I try to remember to breathe. I find it helpful to use the words that we often sing. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. But I've also discovered that sometimes attempting to breathe more slowly makes me more anxious. What's that all about? When I slowed down enough to really observe the breath, I noticed that there is a split-second pause at the top of the inhale. It's not just breathe in, breathe out. Rather, it is breathe in, pause, breathe out. There is a transition point between the receiving and the letting go. In reflecting on this breathing pattern, I feel like I've learned something important about my way of being in the world. I can be directive and productive, and I can receive and let go. And at least for me, there is a tiny pause between those states of being. That pause is not me holding my breath. It is the space, the spaciousness of being fully present, of being. It all comes through learning to pause for a moment, learning not to just impulsively do the same thing again and again. It is a transformative experience to simply pause instead of immediately filling up the space. By waiting, we begin to connect with fundamental restlessness as well as fundamental spaciousness. The result is that we cease to cause harm. We begin to know ourselves thoroughly and to respect ourselves. In this pause between receiving and letting go, we have the opportunity to be really intentional about how we will live in the time after. Individually, that might mean making more space in our calendars, creating spaciousness. I've just begun reading the book, How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy, by artist and critic Jenny Odell, who argues that once we are willing to get off the capitalist treadmill of greater and greater productivity, even to the detriment of the planet and all living systems, including humanity, we can start paying a new kind of attention and undertake bolder forms of political action. We will be able to reimagine humankind's role in the environment and arrive at more meaningful understandings of happiness and progress. Well, sign me up for that. If during this time of waiting, we can begin to make different decisions about how much of our own energetic resources we are willing to expend, and choose to reclaim our lives as individuals, we will have the spaciousness to come together and collectively reimagine humanity's relationship to all of life. By waiting, we begin to connect with fundamental restlessness as well as fundamental spaciousness. The result is that we cease to cause harm. Waiting is still hard for me, but I'm learning to appreciate the liminal space, the in-betweenness. I don't need to fill that spaciousness with activity. No need to clean out every closet or rearrange every room, even though I do find those enjoyable and therapeutic. My learning in the in-between is to just be, with nothing to prove, no scorecard to keep. Wait, listen, be. We're going to show you a pantry clip. As you know, we have the little free pantry at our church, a way that we are able to help address hunger in the suburbs and for folks who make the trip from even in the city of Buffalo out to Amherst to be able to get food for their everyday needs. During this pandemic, with so many people out of work and with so much uncertainty, our food pantry has become more important than ever. This little clip will show some of our pantry volunteers filling what you will notice is an incredibly empty pantry when they get there and an abundant pantry when they're ready to leave. If you would like to be part of this pantry ministry, you can give by going to our website, uuamherst.org, and choosing in the giving section to give to the little free pantry. Or if you want to drop food off at the church, at our back entrance, which is our main entrance, there are a couple of big green totes that are ready to receive your donations. Thank you to all who have been part of the success of our little free pantry, to the volunteers, to those who have given so much in support. So we affirm the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Those are three concentric circles, with the light of truth being the closest as an individual endeavor. The warmth of community is the circle that includes others in our immediate realm, and the fire of commitment reaches out into the larger world. At this time, we consider those in our immediate care. We hold one another in care and trust. Please join your hearts with mine in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of community, in which we share and find common purpose. We turn our minds and hearts toward one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need our love and support. Those who are ill, those who are in pain either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We are part of a web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, to care. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Benediction comes from Thich Nhat Hanh. We have a tendency to think in terms of doing and not in terms of being. We think that when we are not doing anything, we are wasting our time, but that is not true. Our time is first of all for us to be. To be what? To be alive, to be peaceful, to be joyful, to be loving. And this is what the world needs most. Thank you for joining our worship today. See our website and the weekly email update for more ways to connect during this time of physical distancing. Be well. Be.
Ding!
Ding. There you go.
This morning's reading is called The Way, and it is number 630 in your gray hymnal. If you have one at home, you're welcome to follow along. Looks like I've lost my place in my gray hymnal, so I'm going to find it again. And actually, it is not number 630. It is going to have to be looked up. So let's take a moment and I'll start over again. It's 670. All right.
Okay, last minute, pinch the cheeks, try to look alive. Hide my chins. I've got my computer is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long, skinny, but thick books, and the camera is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books and an oracle deck. So everything, I'm sitting like this, working things, just to try to get that better angle so that I'm not all chins. Hey! Well, I will be glad when we will have tried all the variations, had everything at the buffet, and figured out what really works. And then if there ever is that moment when we're not just every week learning something brand new. My learning is getting exhausted. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know anything. Oh my goodness.